Welcome to The Archive Speaks, a podcast by the Refugee Archive. In this series, we document the journeys of displaced women who lead households, rebuild communities, and carry stories that often go unheard. These oral histories reflect the personal memories and truths of those who tell them, shaped by time, trauma, and resilience. The Refugee Archive holds space for these voices without political alignment or editorial interference. Last time, Sakena painted a picture of home. The pond in Gudusara, the smell of her mother's rice, the joy of learning to write her first alif. She spoke softly of a childhood that felt endless, and of the day that innocence gave way to womanhood. In this part of her story, we move from the rhythm of ordinary days to the night everything changed. The sound of gunfire, the loss of her husband, and the long walk toward the border. A journey that would make her one of more than 700,000 Rohingya forced to flee northern Rakhine in 2017. This is not a retelling of history, but one woman's memory of it, lived, carried, and survived.
My
name is Sakena, Sakena Khatun, yes, Sakena Khatun. My father called me Sakena. My mother said Sakena. At school they said Sakena Khatun, but on the papers it was written Sakena. Sakena, yes. I say write it S-A-K-E-N-A. S-A-K-E-N-A. My house was near the pond. In the hot days the water was warm and at night the breeze was cool. Thanda, thanda. In front of our house there was a tree, a pomelo tree, a big tree. Under it, my mother and sisters and I would sit, talk, and laugh. To the south of our house stood the mosque, to the north the market, and to the east, yes, to the east ran the stream beside the river. If you came from the main road to see me, you'd pass the market, cross the mosque, then see the pond and the tree. After that, my house stood there. When the wind blew through our house, it felt cool, peaceful. Children played there, and my mother and sisters sat together again and again. In our house lived my father, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, 4 brothers, and 5 sisters. 9 of us in all. My father worked outside, in the fields and in the market. He did both kinds of work. My mother cooked at home, fish, rice, and vegetables. She went to the garden to pick vegetables, and I went with her. When I was little, I played in the garden, played with water, dipped my hands into it. My father used to say, "Go study, become a person through learning." My mother said, "Truth brings peace to the home." At night, my mother cooked the meal. I sat beside her, washed the rice, brought the water. The children played, laughed, shouted outside the house. My father and mother sat together talking, and I would listen softly. I went to school as a girl, walking about 2 hours there and back. In the morning, my mother called out, "Sakena, wake up, you'll be late." And I said, "Mother, 1 more minute." She gave me tea and rice. I ate a little and carried my books. I carried my books. She told me, "Say a prayer, may Allah go with you." I walked with my friends and other children. The school wasn't near our house. We crossed a small canal of water to get there. I studied Burmese, Rohingya, and a little English. My father urged, "You must learn English." At school, the teacher spoke in Burmese, and I understood in Rohingya. Some days we wrote in Burmese, but I wrote the Rohingya way. At home, my mother spoke Rohingya. In the market, we spoke Burmese, and the teacher taught us mixed Burmese and English. Yes, I remember that learning English was good. My mother reminded me, language gives a person respect. When I grew older, my mother whispered softly, a girl must stay calm. My father advised, our honor and dignity are our wealth. Take care of them. My mother taught me how to wash clothes, how to cook, and how to welcome guests. She would often say, learning is good, but knowing housework is also a blessing. As a girl, I helped clean the garden and sweep the house. I sat with my mother and learned how to sew clothes and hold the needle properly. She explained, a girl must know how to sew her dress and shawl. She also told me, Allah gives paradise to women who live with faith and patience. I understood then that to be a woman means to have courage and patience. I was married when I was still very young, barely 16 years old. My father announced, we found a good home for this girl. My mother prayed, may Allah give her a good destiny. I listened quietly. My mother reassured me, marriage brings honor, do not be afraid. I was afraid. I cried. She comforted me. Allah will be with you. There will be peace in that home. I said, Mother, I don't know how to manage a household. She answered, you learn as a woman must, with faith. My father instructed, on your wedding day, pray. Allah will protect you. My mother made sweets and semai, and everyone came smiling and laughing. The sun was bright. I felt shy, but when I saw the mehendi on my hands, I felt joy. I said, Allah, bless this new life. After the wedding, I went to my new home, a new house, new people. My husband was kind. He spoke little, but always with a smile. My mother-in-law told me, daughter, wake up early and begin the day's work. In the morning, I fetched water, washed rice, and cooked the meal. My husband went out for work in the market. I worked inside the house, cooking, cleaning, washing clothes. My mother-in-law remarked proudly, thanks be to Allah, this girl works well. I sat with her, spoke, and learned how to manage the household. My husband would often say, peace in the home is a blessing in the home. At night I prayed, Allah, give us peace. My husband sat and recited the Quran, and I listened. I learned then how a new life begins in a new home. After some time of marriage, a new season came. One day my mother announced softly, daughter, Allah has blessed you. Then I understood. I was going to be a mother. My mother-in-law rejoiced. May Allah bring blessings. My husband said calmly, Inshallah, the baby will be healthy. I felt fear, but also joy. My mother reminded me gently, when you become a mother, your heart and your faith grow bigger. At night I prayed, Allah, stay with this child. When the baby was born, everyone exclaimed, she's good, she's a girl. And I cried. Her small hand held my finger, so tiny, so soft. I said, Allah, she is your gift. My husband declared, we will name her Rahima, which means mercy. My mother-in-law blessed us. May Allah's grace live in your home. Every day I cared for the baby, washed her head with water, and sang lullabies. I prayed, Allah, give her a life of peace.
The violence that came to Sakena's doorstep wasn't sudden. For months, tension rippled through northern Rakhine with soldiers patrolling, and villages whispered about raids in the night. By late August 2017, entire Rohingya communities like Gudusara were encircled. What began as isolated clashes escalated into what the UN later described as a campaign of ethnic cleansing. Actions involving mass killings, rape, and Rohingya homes burned to ashes. That night, Sakena did what every mother does when the world begins to fall apart. She gathered her children. In one hand, a small Quran. In the other, the hands of her 4 children. Her husband told her, "Go first, I'll follow." Those were his last words. When dawn came, the sky was thick with smoke, and Gudusara was gone.
One day, a sound came from outside. The sound of gunfire. Boom, boom. I thought, what's happening? My husband hurried out, then returned, his face pale. He whispered urgently, "Soldiers have come. The market is closed." My mother-in-law cried out, "Allah, my grandchild!" clutching the baby to her chest. Our neighbor shouted from the gate, "People in the next village are running." Fear came to me. Bhoy lagit. My mind spun. Mongol hoit. My heart became heavy. Mo bharil hoit. I asked in a trembling voice, "Mother, where will we go?" My mother-in-law replied quickly, "Allah will protect you. Stay inside." My husband murmured, "I will go out and see what's happening." I caught his hand and pleaded, "No, don't go. Bhoy lagit. I'm afraid. Mo bharil hoit. My heart is heavy." He answered softly, "Allah is with us. I'll come back soon." My little daughter sobbed, "Father, don't go." I wept with her. Mo bharil hoit. My heart was heavy. Mo bharil hoit. I whispered again. My heart was heavy. My husband stepped outside and soon returned, breathless, saying, "I saw fire. 2 houses in the next village are burning." My mother-in-law moaned, "Allah, may the fire not reach us." I heard this and felt my hands go cold. Haath gol hoit. My mind spun. Mo gol hoit. My heart was heavy. Mo bharil hoit. I murmured, "Allah, ora manush na, ora zulom koit. They are not people. They do cruelty." My husband warned, "Hold the children and get ready, in case we must run." I stopped mid-stirring the pot, dropped the ladle, and gathered our clothes. My mother-in-law lifted her hands and prayed aloud, "Allah, protect us." I prayed too, "Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir." My Lord, make it easy, not hard. And I repeated softly, "My Lord, make it easy, not hard. My Lord, make it easy, not hard." Over and over, until the words became my breath, and the breath became my prayer. My husband called out, "Now we must go. People in the next village are running." My mother-in-law pleaded, "Allah, protect this house." I held the baby close, and my older daughter clung to my hand. A wave of fear swept through me. My chest tightened, my breath caught. My husband instructed, "I will go ahead, you follow behind." I whispered, "Allah, stay with us." He answered softly, "Allah is with you. Don't cry." My daughter called out, "Father, I will go with you." He touched her head gently and blessed her. "May Allah protect you." I begged, "No, don't go." He assured me, "I'll come back soon." My mother-in-law lamented, Allah, they are not people. They do cruelty. Ura manush na, ura zulom koit. I placed my hand over the cooking pot. The heat rose. Thump, thump. The sound of fire. I covered my baby's head with my scarf. My husband looked back and shouted, "Go! Run! Run!" Panic rushed through me. My hands trembled. My legs felt weak beneath me. I cried out, "Allah, they are not people." My mother-in-law wept. Allah sees them. I held my small daughter and ran along the garden's edge, through the red glow of the fire. My husband's voice faded. I could no longer hear it. I stopped and looked back, but there was only smoke and flame. My thoughts blurred. My breath came short. I whispered, "They do cruelty. Zulom koit. Allah, protect him." I held the child tight and ran toward the fields. I never saw my husband again. My mother-in-law sobbed, "Allah, they are not people. They do cruelty." I cried and cried. The world swayed around me. I ran behind the light of the fire. Smoke everywhere. The sound of my child crying. My mother-in-law cried out, "Allah, they are not people. They do cruelty." I asked softly, "Where is my husband?" My mother-in-law answered, "May Allah protect him." Terror rose inside me. My chest tightened and the air felt thick in my throat. I held my children close and walked toward the edge of the village. Beside our neighbor's house, the fire kept bursting. Jump, jump. I ran and ran. Night fell. There was a ditch under my feet. I could hardly see. My little daughter whimpered, "Mama, where is father?" I whispered, "He is with Allah. May He give him peace." Tears blurred my sight. My mother-in-law urged, "Now we must go outside this village." I asked, "Where will we go? Will my husband come back?" She replied quietly, "Now the care of your children is in your hands." I stayed silent. Sorrow pressed down in my chest like a weight I could not lift. The light of the fire faded, and I walked ahead. I covered my child's head with a cloth. My little son murmured, "Mama, I'm hungry." I told him gently, "Allah will give you food, rizq diya." I stopped outside a neighbor's house. The smell of cold water, the breath of smoke. I whispered, "Allah, what should I do?" My mother-in-law said softly, "Now we live not for ourselves, but for the children." I thought, now I am a woman alone among people. My heart ached and softened all at once. Grief and tenderness joined like water and salt. I pressed my child's head against mine and breathed, "Allah, I am the mother and the father." I thought, now the account of life is in my hands. I prayed, "Rabbi yassir wa la tu'assir ya Rahman." My Lord, make it easy, not hard, almost merciful.
From Gudusara, Sakena joined thousands heading north toward the Naf River, the narrow body of water separating Myanmar from Bangladesh. Satellite images from that week showed more than 200 villages burned, the fires visible from space. The journey took days. People carried what they could: a pot, a blanket, a photograph. Some crossed by boat, others on foot through flooded rice fields. Many drowned, others were turned back. Sakena kept walking, one hand clutching her children, the other gripping her faith. She says she saw the glow of fire behind her and the shimmer of moonlight ahead, the only two lights that marked the way out. When they finally reached the riverbank, she heard a voice from the other side. "We are people from Bangladesh." And for the first time in days, she let herself breathe.
Jadi, ekal hawase. I walked forward. It was night. The air smelled of smoke. I ran through the flickering light of fire. My child cried, "Mama, I want water." I told her softly, "Be patient. Allah will give water." My mother-in-law gripped my arm and warned, "Now there is no dry ground ahead." Cold water rose under my feet. My clothes clung to my body, heavy and wet. I whispered, "Allah, I cannot bring water for my children." My little girl's body trembled. She was cold and afraid. I wrapped her tightly in a cloth. My mother-in-law murmured, "Now we must go toward the long road." I ran and ran. My chest ached, my legs weak beneath me, my breath burning. My little son called out, "Mama, I am hungry." I answered, "Allah will give food. The land will dry again." In the quiet of the night, I heard birds calling, "Tock, tock," faint against the smoke-filled sky. My children began to fall asleep. I held them close, ran, stopped, ran again. My thoughts blurred. My body felt light and hollow, but I kept moving. My mother-in-law pointed ahead. "Now we will cross the path. I see blue water ahead." I warned, "There is a swamp. The water is deep." She replied, "We must cross through the water. Hold the children." I lifted one child in each arm. My mother-in-law clutched the edge of her scarf. The water rose above my waist. It was freezing, and terror moved through me like the current itself. My child cried out, "Mama, don't go into the water." I answered, "Allah is with us." My mother-in-law echoed, "Allah is with us. Now, to the other side." Something struck my foot beneath the water. I gasped. Trembling, I whispered, "Allah, is there a body under the water?" My mother-in-law stayed silent. We kept walking through the water until we reached the far side. I sank to the ground, drawing a long breath. I prayed, "Allah, give peace to the souls of those in this water." I covered my children's head with cloth. They drifted into sleep. For a while I sat still, listening to the night, then began walking again towards the faint light of dawn. My heart ached with the weight of all I had lost. Fear still lingered, and my mind swam between exhaustion and prayer. I murmured, "Allah, they do cruelty. I am in your hands." And I prayed again, "Rabbi, yassir wa la tu'assir." My Lord, make it easy, not hard. I kept walking. The night deepened, the smoke faded, and the firelight grew dim. My mother-in-law sat down and murmured, "Now rest. Your legs are tired." I shook my head and replied firmly, "No, we must go. The sound of fire is coming from behind." My mother-in-law exclaimed, "Allah, they are not people." I held my children close and ran forward, my breath sharp in my chest. The leaves rustled beneath my feet. Each sound made me tremble. My child cried out, "Mama, where is father?" I answered softly, "He is with Allah." My mother-in-law called over the wind, "Now the village ends. The road is wide, the ground is wet." I said quickly, "We will go now. We will run." I ran until I saw a faint light ahead. My body ached with hunger, my heart felt heavy, and the cold pierced my skin. I whispered, "Allah, where does this road end?" My mother-in-law replied, "Now is the edge of the hill." I asked, "Is there water again?" She answered, "No, the hill's edge, this is Myanmar's end." I gasped softly, "Then Bangladesh?" She said, "Inshallah." I cried, voice trembling, "Allah, they do cruelty. They are not people." I gathered my children and stepped into the water at the foot of the hill. Something slippery brushed my foot. I froze, terrified. My mother-in-law warned, "The ground is wet. Stop." I stopped and heard a voice from the darkness. My breath caught. My thoughts swirled in confusion and fear. I whispered, "Allah, if they are not people." The voice called back, "We are people from Bangladesh." My mother-in-law cried out, "Allah, thank you." I went forward still shaking and sat down, gasping for air. I placed the children beside me and pleaded, "Now give them water." The people brought us water and food, rice, oil, chili. Warmth returned to my body, my heart softened. I wept, saying, "Allah, they are good people." My mother-in-law whispered gently, "Now you are safe." I looked at the sky and said, "Allah, bless their land." My children ate quietly. I watched their faces and began to cry again. My heart was heavy, yet something inside me grew tender. Fear still lingered, but hope rose beside it. I murmured, "Allah, they do cruelty, but there are still good people." I walked forward. The light grew brighter. I saw people ahead. They called out, "Come, don't be afraid." My mother-in-law exclaimed, "Allah, you're good people." I whispered, "Praise be to Allah, you have given us life." One man stepped closer and asked gently, "What is your name?" I answered, "My name is Sakena." He said, "Now we, the people of this land, will keep you safe." I cried softly, unable to speak. They gave my children water, rice, and food warm with oil and spice. My heart softened, yet still carried the weight of all that had passed. Fear trembled within me, but hope began to rise beside it. I murmured, "Allah, I am in the hands of good people in this land." My mother-in-law said quietly, "Now you are protected." My little son began to eat and smiled, saying, "Mama, the rice is good." I smiled back through tears. It's blessed food, Allah's blessing. Joy and fear mingled inside me, and my thoughts blurred with exhaustion. My mother-in-law whispered, "Now rest, they will give us a place for the night." One man said, "Sit here, I will call the police." I tensed. "The police are coming?" He reassured me, "No, don't fear, they are good, they will register your name." I asked, "Register?" He nodded. "We will write your name, your children's names, your husband's name." I looked at him and whispered, trembling, "Allah, after all this oppression, even this writing feels like mercy." He brought a paper and said, "Tell me your name." I replied, "My name is Sakena. My husband's name is Abdullahim." My mother-in-law murmured, "Allah, give his name blessing and peace." My heart tightened. Hearing his name written felt like both loss and remembrance. I said softly, "My husband's name is now written on paper." Tears came again, sorrow and hope together. I prayed, "Allah, this paper is in your hands." The man smiled gently and said, "Now you can sit and rest." I whispered, "Allah, bless your land." I seated my children. They began to sleep. I covered their heads with my scarf. My heart was heavy but tender. Fear still near, yet peace settling like dawn. They said, "Now we will write your name on paper," and took my photograph, my fingerprint. I whispered, "Allah, my life is inside this paper." My mother-in-law murmured, "You are the one in charge now, the head of the family." I laughed a little and said, "I'm the boss? I'm just a person, but okay." A local worker explained, "Now you will get your shelter number." My shelter, block C5, hut number 27. My thoughts swelled. A strange unease moved through me. My heart felt heavy, and the shadow of fear lingered. I held my children close and said, "Now, this is your home." My mother-in-law told me, "Now stay inside this house." I looked around. Bamboo poles, a tarpaulin roof, some rope, 2 stakes. I whispered, "Allah, it is not like a house, but it has a roof." My child asked, "Mama, this house?" I answered gently, "Now this is your house, beneath this roof." My heart softened. A deep sadness remained, but also a fragile peace. My mother-in-law said, "Now they are giving ration." They gave rice, oil, lentils, and salt. I smiled faintly. This rice smells like the rice of Myanmar. My children were happy and said, "Mama, the rice is good." I replied, "It is Allah's provision, good rice." My mother-in-law murmured, "Now we will live with the people of this land." I said, "Allah, bless the land of these people." My heart was heavy, yet it softened with gratitude. Fear still visited me, but hope began to take root. I whispered, "Allah, hunger is less now, but people's peace is still far." My child asked softly, "Mama, where is father?" I said, "Your father's prayers are with you." My mother-in-law whispered, "Now sleep, it's late." I covered the children with my scarf. My heart carried its weight, but also tenderness. Year lingered. Hope returned. I prayed, "Allah, have mercy on the people of this land." Above my head, the tap fluttered in the night wind. The smell of rain, the cool touch of water. My mind drifted, turning slowly with all that had passed. And at last, peace settled over me.
Cox's Bazar became the new world for people like Sakena, an endless sea of bamboo and tarp. By early 2018, it was already the largest refugee camp on Earth. More than half the population were women and children. In those early days, life revolved around lines, water lines, food lines, aid registration lines. But Sakena's days were built around her children. She cooked, taught them the Quran, cleaned their shelter, and reminded them of home. "When my children are hungry," she said, "I tell them, Allah sees us." In the quiet between survival and exhaustion, Sakena became the head of her household, a role that countless displaced women take on when war erases everything else. And through her voice, we're reminded that strength doesn't always sound like defiance. Sometimes, it sounds like a mother whispering, "Bismillah," over a child's empty bowl.
No, kan lifting on I. Pura Hani have a lay and I. Hani had a monopoly, busy do there, Hani and a hapoji. Quandore, busy talk do goriare, Rakapoji, busy do pai. The hen and
Now,
gotti
my life began inside the camp. Every morning, I walked, fetched water, lit a small fire, and cooked rice. My child said, "Mama, the rice smells good." I replied, "It is Allah's provision. Praise be to Him." My mother-in-law sat and recited prayers, saying, "Now this land has peace." My heart was heavy, yet it softened. Fear still came, but hope came too. I whispered, "Allah, hunger is gone, but joy is still small." After morning, I went to stand in the ration line. People said, Come, stay at the end of the line. My children stood beside me. I held the ration bag tight in my hand. My heart carried its weight, but a quiet peace followed. Dust clung to my feet, sweat to my palms, the smell of rain under my scarf. I said softly, Allah, give mercy like the rain of this land. My mother-in-law said, now our life is inside the camp. I answered, then we will learn the rules of life. Beside my shelter stood another, also a woman, alone with her children. My heart softened. I said, now there are many people like me. With my children, I bathed in the drawn water. I said, Allah, the water is cool. Peace comes to the heart. My little son said, Mama, your hand is cold. I laughed and said, now it's not like home, but you are here. My heart was heavy, yet tender. At night I sat beside my children's heads and recited prayers. I said, Allah, make fear small, make hope big. My mother-in-law whispered, now sleep. People's hearts find peace. I covered my head with my scarf and listened to the sound of the roof. My thoughts swirled. Fear still came, yet peace followed. I said quietly, Allah, have mercy on the people of this land. Now, inside my life, there is sorrow, fear, and hope, all together. I said, Allah, my heart is heavy, but you have given mercy. I saw my children laughing, my heart grew soft. I murmured, Allah, their laughter is my life. My mother-in-law said, now pray for our people. I replied, Allah, give mercy to those who have suffered oppression. My heart carried its weight. Fear still came, yet hope rose quietly. I said, my husband's prayers are still with me. In my heart I whispered, Allah, grant him paradise. I hoped for my children that they would read, write, and become good people. My little son said, Mama, when I grow up, I'll be a doctor. I smiled through tears and said, may Allah give you honor and help you grow. My heart softened. I wept. I said, Allah, life is full of sorrow, but it also holds hope. My mother-in-law said, now there is peace with Allah. I prayed, Allah, make people's hearts gentle. Give hope inside sorrow. My heart was heavy yet tender. Hope came quietly. I said, Allah, if the people of the world could hear, they would know. A mother's heart is burdened but strong. Then I prayed, Allah, bless their lives with your mercy. My thoughts turned and trembled. Fear came, but peace followed. I said, Allah, give blessings to my homeland and hope to my children. At the end of the night, inside the shelter, I heard the rain. My children sleeping beside me. I recited a prayer whispering, Allah, life is in your hands. My heart was heavy yet soft. Hope and peace came together.
This is where we leave Sakena for now, standing at the edge of a new life in Cox's Bazar, with 4 children beside her and no map for what comes next. Her voice carries both the ache of what was lost and the calm of what endures. In the next part of her story, she opens up about the days that followed, learning to survive the camp's heat, its silences, and the quiet judgment faced by widowed women raising families alone. It's a story about rebuilding in the smallest ways and what it means to begin again when there is no home to return to. You've been listening to The Archive Speaks, a podcast from the Refugee Archive, a global center dedicated to preserving and amplifying the voices of displaced female head of households. If this story moved you, help us share it. Support our cause by finding us on any social media platform at The Refugee Archive. And join us, because when more of us listen, more of them speak.